What happens when a king who rules the world meets a man living in a barrel? Alexander the Great thought he could offer anything, but all Diogenes wanted was his sunlight. This unexpected encounter is a masterclass in freedom, happiness, and the true meaning of wealth. Ready to find out which side of the empire you're on? When Alexander encountered Diogenes, a meeting of great minds. In ancient Greece, there was a moment that encapsulated the true essence of life, a moment that reminds us about the value of perspective over possessions. This moment came during an unlikely encounter between two of the most intriguing figures of the time, Alexander the Great, the ruler of much of the known world, and Diogenes, the philosopher who had forsaken all the trappings of wealth and power. Their brief exchange offers timeless lessons, particularly about the meaning of success, wealth, and personal freedom. Picture this: Alexander, a mighty conqueror who had built an empire stretching from Greece to India, walking through the streets of Corinth. He comes across Diogenes, lounging in a barrel, soaking up the warm sun. Now, Alexander, who could command the most luxurious palaces, vast treasures, and immense power, sees Diogenes as a curious figure. This man, the philosopher who has rejected all of society's conventions, is lying in a barrel. With curiosity, Alexander approaches him and says, "Is there anything I can do for you? Anything you need?" He surely expects Diogenes to ask for something grand, a mansion, gold, a position of power. But Diogenes, with a sharp wit and wisdom, squints up at him and responds, "Yes, step aside. You're blocking my sunlight." That's it. That's the encounter. It seems simple, but it's filled with layers of meaning. Alexander, the king of the world, the conqueror of nations, was nothing more than an obstacle between Diogenes and the sunlight he was enjoying. This moment speaks volumes. Diogenes wasn't interested in wealth, fame, or titles. He was simply focused on something much more fundamental: the joy of living freely and in the moment. The paradox of power and simplicity. Let's pause here for a moment. Alexander, the ruler who could summon armies, shape nations, and amass untold wealth, stand before Diogenes, who possessed nothing but a barrel. If we measure success by traditional standards, wealth, power, and influence, Alexander seems to be the clear winner. But if we measure success by how deeply one understands the nature of life and the self, then perhaps it is Diogenes who emerges as the true victor. Here's the thing: Stoic philosophy, which Diogenes followed, teaches us that true wealth is not measured by what we possess, but by our ability to live freely, authentically, and in harmony with nature. In other words, the real measure of wealth is the freedom to live according to one's own values, free from the pressures of society and the pursuit of material gain. Today, we live in a world that constantly pushes us to chase after more. More money, more possessions, more recognition. But how often do we stop and ask ourselves, what is enough? Diogenes shows us that success isn't about the empire you build. It's about the freedom you create for yourself. Take a moment to think about the lives of modern millionaires and billionaires. Many of them, like Alexander, are constantly seeking more: bigger companies, larger profits, greater fame. But in their pursuit of success, how many of them are truly happy? How many of them find peace? How many of them can sit back, enjoy the sunlight, and say, "I have enough"? Redefining wealth, finding freedom in simplicity. Now, let's take a step back and ask a deeper question. What does it mean to be wealthy? In today's world, wealth is often defined by the number of zeros in your bank account, the car you drive, or the house you own. But what if true wealth was found in something much simpler? Think about a successful business person you know. They may have all the material trappings of success: a beautiful home, expensive clothes, and luxury cars. But they're constantly working, stressed, and overwhelmed by their responsibilities. They have everything they ever dreamed of, but it's never enough. They keep climbing the ladder, thinking that happiness is just one more promotion or one more deal away. But then there's someone like Diogenes. Diogenes, who had nothing, who lived in a barrel, was happier than many of those who had everything. He didn't need anything more than the sun on his face and the freedom to live without the constraints of society's expectations. This is what Stoic philosophy teaches us. Happiness is not in the pursuit of more. It's in the acceptance of less. The key is not accumulating things, but freeing yourself from the desire to accumulate it all. As the Stoics often said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This doesn't mean that we should abandon all ambition or forsake wealth entirely. It's about finding balance. It's about asking yourself, how much is enough? And what truly makes me happy? The real question, what would you choose? This brings us to the most important question Diogenes asks us. What would you choose? An empire full of riches, fame, and power? Or the freedom to live as you wish, without the weight of material desires? In our modern world, where success is often defined by how much we have and how many people know our name, Diogenes offers us an alternative perspective. Success isn't about building an empire. It's about building a life that reflects your true values. It's about choosing freedom over possession. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How often have you been caught up in the race to acquire more? More possessions, more status, more approval. How often have you equated success with wealth? But what if true success is something simpler? What if it's the freedom to be yourself, to live authentically, without the need to impress or conform to society's standards? What's blocking your sunlight? Is it your job? Your possessions? The endless chase for validation? Maybe it's time to step back and rethink what really matters. The Stoic approach to modern life. Let's break down what Stoicism truly is. Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy that emphasizes personal virtue and wisdom, focusing on how we can control our reactions and attitudes toward life's challenges, rather than seeking external validation or material gains. The Stoics believe that the key to happiness lies not in acquiring things, but in cultivating an inner strength that allows us to endure hardships with grace. Modern Stoicism, as practiced by many today, encourages us to approach life with a mindset of acceptance, not as passive resignation, but as an active engagement with reality. Stoicism helps us embrace the challenges of life by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. It teaches us to accept that things will go wrong, people will disappoint us, and life is unpredictable. But it also teaches us to rise above these external factors and live with integrity and peace of mind. For example, consider someone who is going through a tough time at work, a difficult boss, a challenging project, or a lack of recognition. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control how others behave or how our work is received, we can control how we respond. We can choose not to let external circumstances dictate our emotional state. Instead of complaining about a bad day, a Stoic would reflect on what they can learn from the situation and use it as an opportunity for growth. This ability to detach from the outcome and focus on our responses is what leads to true freedom. Freedom from the chaos of the outside world and freedom from the constant need to chase after more. The freedom to be present. One of the greatest gifts Stoicism offers is the ability to be present, to enjoy the here and now without constantly worrying about what we don't have or what we could achieve. Diogenes embodied this principle to its fullest. He didn't worry about his status or whether others admired him. He was content in his simplicity, finding joy in the most basic of life's pleasures, the sunlight. In today's world, being present is more challenging than ever. We are constantly bombarded with distractions, social media, emails, work pressures, all demanding our attention. We are told that we need to be constantly achieving, constantly busy, constantly striving for the next thing. But what if the most valuable thing we can do is to stop and just be? When was the last time you took a moment to simply enjoy the present? When did you last spend time without your phone, without checking email, without worrying about what's next? This is what Diogenes and Stoicism remind us of, the beauty of the present moment. What's blocking your sunlight? So, what's blocking your sunlight? What is standing between you and your freedom? Is it the constant pursuit of more? Is it the pressure to keep up with others? Or is it the fear of not measuring up? Just as Alexander, in his quest for empire, was blocked from the sunlight by his own pursuit of power, we too can find ourselves trapped in cycles of wanting more. Whether it's more wealth, more approval, or more things, we are often unaware that it is these very desires that keep us from experiencing true freedom. The lesson Diogenes offers is not to renounce all possessions, but to free ourselves from the compulsion to possess more. It's not about rejecting ambition, but about finding contentment with what we have. By focusing on what we can control, our own responses, our own mindset, we can find true wealth and freedom in our lives. Conclusion: choose freedom. The choice is yours. Will you continue to chase after the empire, the bigger house, the more prestigious job, the next promotion? Or will you choose the freedom to live authentically, to embrace the simplicity and joy of the present moment, as Diogenes did? In the end, success isn't about what you own or how much you control. It's about how you live. It's about being free from the desire for more and finding contentment in the here and now. So, ask yourself, what would you choose? An empire or the freedom to be yourself? The pursuit of more or the peace of simplicity? The endless chase or the joy of being present? The greatest success is not in building an empire. It's in choosing the freedom to be yourself, to live authentically, and to bask in your own sunlight. Watch more videos and subscribe for more wisdom.